ماذا يفيدك أن تسمى حافظا وكتاب ربك في الفؤاد تمزقا.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام.
الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله تبارك وتعالى عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه وبارك وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا. أما بعد. We are now commencing Surah Abasa wa Tawalla. This is Surah number 80 in the Qur'an. It is the third Surah of the 30th juz. It is a Makki Surah. And there are two types of verses in the Qur'an in respect to the background in which they were revealed. There are some verses in surahs that have a general background. And then there are others that have a specific background, what we call a cause of revelation, sababun nuzul or sha'nun nuzul. And an example of a surah with a general cause of revelation is the surah just before this one, Nazi'at. It is not reported in any hadith that it was revealed because of a particular incident, or in response to a particular question, or regarding a specific person. Surah Abasa, however, has a specific cause of revelation. A specific incident took place with the Prophet ﷺ, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed this surah. People used to ask, how come the Qur'an wasn't revealed all at once? وَقَالُوا لَوْلَا نُزِّلَ عَلَيْهِ الْقُرْآنُ جُمْلَةً وَاحِدَةً. So there are a number of reasons why the Qur'an was not revealed all at once. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, كَذَلِكَ لِنُثَبِّتَ بِهِ فُؤَادَكَ. The first thing was that there were many occasions in which the Prophet ﷺ was rejected, he was hurt, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to console him. He wanted to calm him, give him peace of heart, peace of mind, that Allah's help is still there, that Allah is going to assist him. So those verses which are in the hundreds, which is just a consolation for the Prophet ﷺ, لِنُثَبِّتَ بِهِ فُؤَادَكَ, so we can make your heart strong again. The second thing was وَرَتَّلْنَاهُ تَرْتِيلًا. The recitation of the Qur'an is a part of the Qur'an. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted this book to be recited in a particular way. فَإِذَا قَرَأْنَاهُ فَاتَّبِعْ قُرْآنًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed not just meanings, concepts or subjects, but there were specific words that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed. And the Prophet ﷺ was taught to recite them in a certain way. And he ﷺ in turn would recite it to the Sahaba in that specific manner. So this would not have been possible if the whole Qur'an was revealed at once. As it was being revealed, the recitation of the Qur'an was also being revealed and refined by the Prophet ﷺ for the Muslims. And refined means that he was making sure that everyone who took it from him was reciting it correctly. They didn't just have the words written down. And the third was وَلَا يَأْتُونَكَ بِمَثَلٍ إِلَّا جِئْنَاكَ بِالْحَقِّ وَأَحْسَنَ تَفْسِيرًا. The third reason why the Qur'an wasn't revealed all at once is that people were coming with questions. And some of the questions were just for the sake of gaining knowledge. يَسْأَلُونَكَ مَاذَا يُنْفِقُونَ. Sahaba came and asked the Prophet ﷺ, who should we spend on? Then they came again, وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ مَاذَا يُنْفِقُونَ. How much should we spend? So the Qur'an gives an answer. يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْأَهِلَّةِ. They came to ask, what is the wisdom behind these waxing and waning crescents that we see? The moon keeps shifting from one phase to another. What is the wisdom, the reason behind it? How does it apply to us? يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الشَّهْرِ الْحَرَامِ قِتَالٍ فِيهِ. What is the hukm of engaging in war in the sacred months? يَسْتَفْتُونَكَ. They come and ask you a fatwa. So there were questions that were asked for the sake of knowledge. And then there were questions that were asked to see, is this man really the Prophet of Allah or not? Like in the days of Makkah, a group of people from Makkah went to the Jewish rabbis in Medina. And they said, we have this man, we know him, we know his family, he is claiming to be a prophet. We want to know, how do we verify this? Is there something that you know that can help us verify and authenticate? So they said, ask him a question. And that question is, how did Bani Israel end up in Egypt? And if he can explain that to you, then he is in fact that prophet that we know about as well. So the whole of Surah Yusuf was revealed and explains the entire story. Similarly, they came and asked the Prophet ﷺ about the realities of the ruh, the soul. In this case, they said, ask him 3 questions. What is this soul, this ruh? And what is the story of those young boys that went into a cave and then miraculous events took place? And what is the story of the king who traveled to the east and traveled to the west? So these questions were answered in the Qur'an. وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الرُّوحِ يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ ذِي الْقَرْنَيْنِ. And the story of Ashab al-Kahf was revealed. So if the whole Qur'an had been revealed all at once, it would not have given these opportunities to prove how correct and how miraculous the Qur'an was. A battle took place between the Byzantine Empire and the Persian Empire. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed, Alif Lam Mim Ghulibat al-Rum, that the Romans, the Byzantines have been defeated, but before 10 years is up, between 7 and 10 years, they are going to come back and have a victory. وَهُمْ مِنْ بَعْدِ غَلَبِهِمْ سَيَغْلِبُونَ فِي بِضْعِ سِنِينَ. So, the causes of revelation are extremely important to understand the context of the verse. And without understanding the context of the verse, we cannot understand the tafsir of the verse or of the surah. Sometimes what happens is somebody might read the translation of a verse or of a surah, but if we aren't familiar with what phase of nubuwah this was revealed in, what era, what period, was it in Makkah or was it Medina? And then what circumstances was it revealed in? And then the next question is, does this verse or group of verses pertain to a specific circumstance, or is it conveying general commandments and general teachings? Without figuring this out, we cannot understand really the tafsir. So let's take a look at this surah. The incident behind this was that our Prophet ﷺ was given this imperative, he was given this instruction that openly call people towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya ayyuhal muddathir qum fa'andir wa rabbaka fakabbir. This was the second wahi, the second revelation revealed at Makkah after Iqra. And wasda' bima tu'mar, openly give da'wat. So when this happened, the Prophet ﷺ started talking to everyone. And he, of course, as he is described in the Qur'an, harisun alaykum. He was very much filled with zeal and yearning for people to accept his message. And that yearning took him to the camps in Mina during the season of Hajj, going from camp to camp and asking who will take this message. And this is what took him into the streets and into the marketplaces, to individuals and to groups, to those that he knew and those that he was unfamiliar with, and to invite the general population as well as the elite. Now, as we know, the majority of the elite of Makkah opposed him, because they saw in this prophethood, in this message, a loss of their own authority and control. They saw in it a loss of power, that people would take another leader. And so they kept up this propaganda of protect the heritage of your forefathers, which consisted of idol worshipping, consisted of certain traditions and customs. So they used that banner to promote themselves. So whenever they said this, what they meant was, we are the ones, we are the safekeepers of that heritage, of that legacy. If you allow this man to influence you, all of that is going to go. The poor people or the average people are the ones who always first accept the da'wat of the Anbiya. In other words, whenever a Nabi comes and starts inviting people towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the majority of his early followers are from the general public. And then slowly what we call the khawas, the elite, or the special people, whether they're special because they're more wealthy, or they're special because they're more influential, or some other reason, they're prominent. These people trickle in very, very slowly. So these people formed the majority of the first batch of Muslims. Now, while this was going on, the Prophet ﷺ was still very eager for these prominent people of Quraysh to also take his message. But there was a problem. And that was that these prominent people, these leaders or chieftains, they did not want to sit in the same gathering as these poor people, the people they referred to as peasants and slaves. They did not want to sit in the same gathering where Bilal al-Habashi and Salman al-Farisi and these kinds of people were sitting. So finally, at one point, they said, okay, we'll listen to you, but you have to give us a separate time. The Prophet ﷺ saw no problem with this, and he set a time for them. And that, of course, was going to be a very crucial sitting, because these opportunities were very, very rare. They're actually giving him a chance to talk. The rest of the time, they were ridiculing him openly, they were hurting him, they were even assaulting him when he was going to pray in front of the Kaaba. And they were sparing no effort to ruin everything he was doing, and here they're actually ready to be his audience for a little while. So that was a very crucial and a very tense time. And some narrations say, like in the Musnad of Abu Ya'la, that it was a specific chief of Quraysh, Ubay ibn Khalaf. Anyways, as the Prophet ﷺ is having this sitting, a Sahabi comes. And this Sahabi happens to be blind. He is not aware of the situation or the background. He has just been informed that the Prophet ﷺ is sitting at such and such place. So he comes and interrupts the gathering. He announces openly, "Allimni mimma allamaka Allah." O Prophet of Allah, I have a question, can you answer it from the knowledge Allah has given you? So the Prophet ﷺ ignored his question and continued his talk, continued his discussion, as is quite normal. If we're having a gathering and somebody comes from outside and tries to interrupt it, we will try to continue our gathering and ignore the disruption. When he didn't hear an answer, he again asked loudly, "O Prophet of Allah, I have a question, can you answer it?" Now, this was not a time for him to ask questions. So the Prophet ﷺ again ignored him. The third time, he asked again. And this time the Prophet ﷺ got upset. And he frowned and turned his face away. Now, frowning and turning your face away is not that dramatic of a reaction. If it was someone else, they would have probably told him or even admonished him that, look, this is no time to be asking these kinds of questions. There is a meeting, a gathering in session. Please don't interrupt us. Come later. The Prophet ﷺ didn't even do that. He just frowned and he turned his face away. And both actions were hidden from Abdullah ibn Maktoum, the name of that Sahabi. He is blind, so neither can he see the frown of Rasulullah ﷺ, nor can he see Nabi ﷺ turning away. So he is not hurting him in any way. But it's not a matter of hurting the person or looking after the person's sentiments. It's about the approach. And Allah Azza wa Jal revealed these verses to correct the approach of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam at that occasion. So Ibn Maktoum can't see the frown, he can't see the face turning away, but Allah informs him, Abasa wa tawalla. Oh Ibn Maktoum, he has frowned at you and he has turned his face away from you. Abasa wa tawalla, he frowned and turned away. An ja'ahu al-a'ma, because a blind person has come. So he's talking to him as if he's a third person. The wahi is coming to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but he's being referred to as a third person, as if he's not there. As if Allah is telling someone about him. This is a way of expressing displeasure. Abasa, he frowned. وَتَوَلَّى, he turned his face away. أَنْ جَاءَهُ الْأَعْمَى, that a blind person approached him. And then the mood of the talk changes very, very abruptly, and Allah addresses Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. وَمَا يُدْرِيكَ, what do you know? لَعَلَّهُ يَزَّكَّى, perhaps he came to be purified. Perhaps he came to be rectified. Perhaps he felt that he was making a mistake that he needed to correct. And yazakka is a very powerful word, because it means to cleanse, to purify, to get rid of any type of impurity. Any type of impurity. This is why zakat is called zakat, because it purifies our wealth. And tazkiyah is the process of purifying the self. And the literal meaning of this is to take gold and heat it up to a very, very intense temperature until the other mixed alloys separate themselves from it. And that's only possible when the oil is heated at very, very high temperatures. So what happens, if there's any percentage of another alloy in there, it will start separating. So the process of getting rid of the impurities is the process of tazkiyah. And when a person starts walking down that path, it's not a pleasant path at the time. There are many discomforts that a person endures. And there are many difficulties that a person undertakes in order to achieve that, because it is no easy task to correct oneself. It's probably the most challenging task in the world, to correct oneself. But this person has started walking on that path. And he is making that effort, he is going through those discomforts, and he is taking on all of those challenges. So in the sight of Allah, there is a great deal of value for this struggle. It's a day-to-day struggle. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a great value for this. وَمَا يُدْرِيكَ لَعَلَّهُ يَزَّكَّى. What do you know? Maybe this person came to achieve tazkiyah. Even if he wouldn't have been perfected, because yazakka is to reach that pinnacle, to reach the peak of self-correction and rectification. But even if he may not have achieved that status through a conversation with you, أو يذكر, at least he would have understood something. فَتَنْفَعُهُ الذِّكْرَى, that understanding would have helped him. وَأَمَّا مَنِ اسْتَغْنَى, as for the one who has istighna, and this istighna has been translated in two ways here by Mufassirin, because istighna is from ghina, which means wealth. So it could be, as for the one who has accumulated wealth. This is one translation of this. أَمَّا مَنِ اسْتَغْنَى, as for the one who has accumulated wealth. And the other meaning of istighna is to feel that you are independent, to feel that you are not in need of something. So, if you offer someone water, for example, a simple example, you offer someone water, says, no, I'm okay. This person has shown istighna from water, that he is not in need of water. So, in that sense, amma man istaghna would mean those people who show that they don't care about your religion. Those people who show that they don't need your religion, they don't need this prophethood, they don't need this message, they don't need this deen. فَأَنْتَ لَهُ تَصَدَّى. Tasadda means to put one's head down and pursue something with all one's energy. So as for those who show they don't care, you are pursuing them. You are exerting yourself in pursuing them. وَمَا عَلَيْكَ أَلَّا يَزَّكَّى. And that person or that group, even if they don't attain that level of tazkiyah, there is no harm or there is no sin upon you. In other words, you are not responsible for them, for taking them to that stage. Why? They never said they wanted it. They never accepted your message. They're playing this, this game of showing that they don't need it. Okay, fine, maybe we'll listen to you. It has to be under very exclusive circumstances. It has to be an exclusive gathering. Yes, maybe, but so-and-so can't sit with us, and so-and-so can't sit with us, and it has to be at this time. They're setting all these conditions. They have not started walking the path. And they have not even shown any inclination towards walking the path. All they've said is, maybe we'll hear you out. But here you are pursuing them. And as for those who have rejected, have decided to reject your message, you are not responsible for them. إِنَّمَا أَنْتَ نَذِيرٌ. You are just a warner. Your job is just to warn. إِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي مَنْ يَشَاءُ. You can't guide them. You can't bring them to Islam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does that with whom He wants. وَأَمَّا مَنْ جَاءَكَ يَسْعَى. These people set a time and you went to them. You went there to that gathering. And here is a person who is coming running towards you. وَأَمَّا مَنْ جَاءَكَ يَسْعَى. He came to you rushing, exerting himself. Sa'i, we talked about it in the last surah, that sa'i implies exertion, effort, and rushing to do something. This man is coming rushing to you. وَهُوَ يَخْشَى. He already has that quality of khashya. We talked about khashya also in Surah An-Nazi'at. Khashya is that realization of who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. It's the knowledge of who Allah is. The understanding and the recognition of His attributes, His power, His might, His promises. It creates a certain wariness inside a person. And that wariness is that Allah is so mighty, He is so powerful, He is so great, I do not want to displease Him. The ultimate result of that is you avoid His displeasure because you know who He is. This man already has achieved that level. وَهُوَ يَخْشَى. The one who comes rushing to you, while he has khashya, he has that fear of Allah, فَأَنْتَ عَنْهُ تَلَهَّى. You are ignoring him. You are pretending that he's not there. تَلَهَّى. You are acting as if he's not even there. كَلَّا. No. In other words, this approach is incorrect. So what was wrong with this? It seems like a perfectly logical scenario. A group of elite people have come and said, we'll listen to you, set aside some time. He ﷺ sets that time. He gives them this exclusive gathering and he's talking. This man is coming and interrupting that gathering. The Prophet ﷺ is expressing displeasure at this disruption. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is admonishing the Prophet ﷺ. So here's the lesson. Those people that have already committed, who have shown that they are ready to take the deen and they're already working on it, these people deserve your attention much more than those who are acting, in other words, arrogant. They're acting arrogantly. They're really taking their time. They're acting like they're really going to critically analyze this in the light of their understanding, in the light of their logic, and then they're going to think about it. Those people, don't worry about them as much as those that have already started walking on this path. These people need your attention more. Because they have already submitted. And now it's a matter of their progress. So the Prophet ﷺ is being taught that he is the Prophet of Allah for all of mankind. قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا النَّاسُ إِنِّي رَسُولُ اللَّهِ إِلَيْكُمْ جَمِيعًا. I am a prophet to all mankind. كَافَةً لِلنَّاسِ بَشِيرًا وَنَذِيرًا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. But those that have come into his religion, he needs to look after them. So much so that if there is ever a conflict between going to new people and looking after the existing Muslims, he ﷺ has to give priority to the existing Muslims. And there's a big lesson here for all of us. Because many people raise the question of giving da'wah to non-Muslims. And giving da'wah to non-Muslims is important. There is no denying that. And da'wat in general is a responsibility of every Muslim. So inviting non-Muslims, inviting Muslims. But there are some people who object. And objections are something that they're very easy to do, they're very easy to raise, but it's even more important that we critically analyze our own objections before making them. Because many times those objections are based on an incomplete understanding of that subject, or of that situation, or of that person. The more knowledge we get, the more complete of a picture we get about that thing, the fewer objections we will have. So some people object to those that are doing da'wah work to Muslims. Why don't you go to non-Muslims? Why do you come to us? Or why do you go to those people? You should go to those who are like this and like this and like this. No. The Prophet ﷺ was told to look after his own people even more than those who have not yet accepted. Even though he was still going and giving da'wah to new people, he was still doing that, and his companions were doing that as well. But if somebody has devoted themselves to working with Muslims, upon Muslims, they should not be criticized. In fact, they should be praised for this. And if ever there is a conflict between the two, a person has to choose between one type of work or the other, then this opening of the surah has made it very clear where the priorities of the da'i should be. Otherwise, you have this situation where you're going and inviting a lot of people to Islam, but then you're not doing anything with them. You're just kind of leaving them in limbo. And there are many such people who somehow or another have been attracted to Islam, but nobody has really taken them under their wing. Nobody has taken out time to spend on them, to work with them, to help them through the sophistications and the problems that come with changing your religion. Whether it's in relation to their family, to their marriage, to their children, to the type of work they do, to the social circle that all of a sudden they have left a social setting and they're trying to adopt a social setting. And in fact, many of these people come into Islam and feel completely left out. They feel completely isolated from our community, even though they have come and they have left their community, they have left their people, they have left their families, but still they're not finding that comfort, they're not finding that welcome that is required. And that's what this surah is telling us. Kalla innaha tadhkira. So the kalla is a word of admonishment to say no, this is incorrect. Innaha tadhkira. This message of yours and this wahi, these scriptures that are being revealed to you, it is but a reminder. Innaha tadhkira. فَمَنْ شَاءَ ذَكَرَ. In other words, your job, فَذَكِّرْ, like Allah says, فَذَكِّرْ إِنَّمَا أَنْتَ مُذَكِّرْ لَسْتَ عَلَيْهِمْ بِمُسَيْطِرٍ. Remind, you are but one who reminds. You are not here to impress or to enforce this upon people. And that's it. So this is a reminder. So remind these people, give them the da'wah that is necessary, and then come back and focus on your people. إِنَّهَا تَذْكِرَةٌ. It is a reminder. فَمَنْ شَاءَ ذَكَرَ. Whoever wants will take this reminder. Whoever wants will take this reminder. And فِي صُحُفٍ مُكَرَّمَةٍ مَرْفُوعَةٍ مُطَهَّرَةٍ بِأَيْدِي سَفَرَةٍ كِرَامٍ بَرَرَةٍ don't worry about convincing them about this Qur'an. This Qur'an is very pure. The purity of the Qur'an touches the hearts of the people. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes that this Qur'an is preserved fi suhufin, in scriptures, in scrolls that are mukarrama. They are honorable, noble, venerated, sacred. Marfu'a, they are exalted. Mutahhara, they are pure. So pure from any kind of variation and change. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserved the Qur'an in Al-Lawh al-Mahfuz. Bal huwa Qur'anun Majid fi Lawh al-Mahfuz. This is where the Qur'an has been preserved by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And on Laylatul Qadr, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala descended this Qur'an to Baytul Izzah or Al-Baytul Ma'mur, which is the Qibla of the angels. And from there it was revealed bit by bit to the heart of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So from Al-Lawh al-Mahfuz to Al-Baytul Ma'mur to the heart of the Prophet ﷺ, in all of these places it has been protected from being tainted, from being forgotten, from being added to or subtracted from. This is what is being indicated here. And it is sent down bi-aydi safaratin kiramin barara, in the hands of such scribes, describing the angels. It was written down by such scribes that are noble, barara, they are dutiful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They make no mistake. لا يعصون الله ما أمرهم ويفعلون ما يؤمرون. Allah describes them. They do not disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the least. And they do exactly as they are told. So there is no doubt as to the veracity and the nobility and the purity of this word that is being revealed to you. But look at the human being. قُتِلَ الْإِنسَانِ. Woe to the human being. مَا أَكْفَرَ. How ungrateful he is. So now another theme is being brought up. And it is being brought up because the Qur'an in many cases is self-explanatory. Many parts of the Qur'an, you just have to read them. And the meaning is very clear. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about His miracles in the universe, they're self-explanatory. He says, look at these things, I've created them, think about them. A great portion of the Qur'an is what we call the muhkamat. It is very clear in its message. And it's coming from this sacred and pure source. But the human being has nothing to do but raise objections about it and to question it, to doubt who it's coming from. And this is because of his ingratitude. Does not realize, does not think about what Allah created him from. So he should realize his own status, that where he is not a God. He is not a creator. He is not a master. He is but a creation that was created from substances of this universe. And those substances could not have come together without the will of Allah Azza wa Jal. So, in the next few verses, the creation of the human being is mentioned, and some of the bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon the human being, and then the final destination, which is Qiyamah, it is spoken about, and what will happen to people on that day. This is in the upcoming verses, which we will do inshallah over the next weeks. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallah wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk, subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun, wa salamun ala al-mursaleen, walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.